Welcome back to Ferocious Education. This is Ed. Today we're going to be talking about LGVN. LGVN is a clinical stage biotechnology company developing cellular therapies for chronic diseases associated with aging and other life-threatening conditions. Their lead investigational product, LOMECEL-B, is derived from cultural expanded medical signaling cells, or MSCs. Now, they're isolated from the donated bone marrow of young, healthy adults. These multipotent MSCs have special therapeutics properties, including homing to sites of inflammations and tissue damage, and simulating tissue repair and organ maintenance, as well as modulating of immune system functions by harnessing these properties from allogeneic cells obtained from young, healthy donors. Our goal is to develop safe and effective cell therapies for some of the most difficult diseases and conditions associated with aging. So, taking a look a little bit into their presentation. So, their industry, of course, is biotechnology, as mentioned earlier. They IPO'd earlier this year on February 12, 2021. So, they don't have a massive track record. They IPO'd at around $10 and right away crashed down to $5.82. And we're going to discuss a little bit of their technical analysis in a second. Now, some of their highlights, including as well that LOMECEL-B produced in their state-of-the-art CGMF or CGMP facility in Miami, Florida. The research program is in US, Japan, and the Bahamas. Clinical trial data evaluating LOMECEL-B is in 3 indicator conditions. 1, Alzheimer diseases as phase 1, aging, fertility or frailty at phase 2B, and hypoplastic left heart syndrome as phase 1 as well. Now, programs awarded around $15 million in non-dilutive grants to date, and their anticipated near-term events and milestones, including in Q4, additional biomarker data from Phase 2B aging frailty US trial, and between Q4 2021 and Q1 2022, top-line data for aging frailty influenza vaccine Phase 1 and 2 for HERA trial, and Q4 at the same period, initialized Alzheimer disease Phase 2 trial. The same period, initiate Japan Phase 2 aging frailty trial. So talking about LOMECEL-B, the multimodal mechanism of action MOAs, you're able to see a bit of a representation if you're not really or don't really have an advanced knowledge in biology. This might be a little bit hard for you, but nonetheless you're able to see a representation of their action. But basically it goes as healthy adults donors from 18 to 45 years regularly screened MSCs isolated from bone marrow aspirates, and MSCs culture expanded into billions of cells, and 40 minutes of IV fusion is the kind of the end product that goes into their patients. So robust LOMECEL-B clinical research pipeline. You're able to see a bunch of them actually, including central nervous systems for Alzheimer diseases, going in the locations of the US. Aging frailty, there is multiple in the US and 1 in Japan. You're able to see that majority of them are touching on with phase 2, including congenital heart defect, which is a hypoplastic left heart syndrome in the US, and inflammatory that's still in phase 1 ARS due to COVID-19. Now, the latest news includes US FDA approves Longeveron's LOMECEL-B for rare pediatric disease designation to treat life-threatening infants' heart conditions. So the phase 2 clinical trial is underway for hypoplastic left heart syndrome, which affects approximately 1,000 babies per year. And they mention they're pleased by FDA's acknowledgement of the urgent need for a safe and effective treatment for children born with this rare and devastating congenital heart defect. Stated that the Longeveron co-founder and the CSO, Joshua Heron, MD, were encouraged by our phase 1 clinical data and the progress being made in the ongoing phase 2 trial. That the drug represents unique cell therapy approach that could potentially be administered at the same time as surgery these critically impacted infants. Now, before we move on towards technical analysis, first on the fundamentals, currently trading around close to $10 as we get to see. That is their IPO price. Now, the price over sales is highly overvalued as a pharmaceutical. That's totally acceptable because we understand there are pre-profits. Price over book is around $8.59. The average is probably around 3 or 4, so it's a bit overvalued, around double or triple. Now, institutional buyers, we get to see that this one is 41.35% owned by the founder and the CSO, here Joshua, and 42% owned by Soffer Donald M. Now, there is institutional buyers, but not a massive significant of amounts left between the two of them. There's definitely a smaller amount, including Vanguard's, Morgan Stanley, but very small positions. For instance, Morgan Stanley only has 200 shares in this company at a price share of $4.98, so not really significant. Now, before we move on towards technical analysis, if you'd like to see more contents like this, make sure to click the subscribe button on the bottom right corner and leave notifications on for this channel. Also, don't forget to drop a like. If you'd like to join our Discord, feel free to do so in the description below, and let's move on towards technical analysis. Now, from a technical analysis perspective, there are a few critical things we need to first look at. Of course, momentum is massive at 6.17, the highest it's been almost ever, and that's anticipated by this massive push. Average directional index suggests this is a trend, but not a very strong one, and the willing percent R, which is very similar to the RSI, is sitting at neither overbought or oversold. The MACD histogram currently is massive, and that's anticipated from a push from 284 to 1475. Stochastic fast and stochastic slow both are actually pinpointing a bit upwards with a bit of caution downwards, suggesting to take a look at either supports or resistances that are very close to it, the price, because it can easily break either. Now, in terms of the moving average bands, this stock is expected to trade between 443 and 362. We get to see the price point is way above there, but volumes are critical. When you have a lower volume in the next day than the day before, it shows interest has dropped significantly, almost 1/3 of the interest of the day before. That's a dangerous sign because it can easily anticipate that this stock might dip back downwards. Now, the current Fibonacci retracements shows you a significant support at around 880, 739, 565, and 284. Resistances at 1020, 1220, and 1475. Now, if we were to take a look into just a 1 hourly perspective, we're able to see some resistances on here on the day before that were very interesting for us. First support that is critical is 984. Breaks it, it will go to 955. If it breaks it, 897, 824, dives down to 658, 450, and then down to 340, and then 284. Resistances, there are a few, such as the one on 1007, and then 1061, going upwards to 1103, 1165, and then 1301, and 1357, and 1475. Now, my analyst recommendation thing is a little bit off. It currently shows an average price target of around 105, which I do think that is not a correct price target because it only shows 7% upside, and I think that is a bit off. But what do I think is going to happen here? Now, this stock definitely has a bit of a trend, upwards trend, but we get to see that that upward trend was actually broken on the last trading day. And current trend is a little bit hard to pinpoint, generally speaking, but you could say that it could be something like this. But at this point, you're just drawing lines just to fit something in. And the realistic part is this is bullish flag, bullish flag, bullish flag, and it keeps jumping, but it jumps based on retail pushes, based on momentum. So it really went with good news, and people went and rose up to around 1475. And what's happening here is it's probably going to go on with pump and dump cycles, even though the news was actually significant and pushed this price up. But remember, pumps and dump actually, most of the time, have something behind them in terms of news or something to kind of propel this one forward. So you got to be very careful. If I was you and I bought around 284, might be a little bit to stop being greedy and start selling around this region instead of it going back to around $5. Now, $5 is still a nice profit, but do recall that this stock started off in the year as an IPO around $10 and right away dipped down to $6. It did that for a reason. not of high short selling in any sense, but rather that's the valuation where it's supposed to sit at. So on average in trading, I'll probably say just this line around 520, 523 is the average price history. This is a biotechnology. It's not even phase 3, so it's definitely bound to go down. What do you think is going to happen here? Make sure to mention down in the comments below. Share, subscribe, and like, and have a wonderful day.